Just put on some headphones and jumped on my machine. And I'm cutting rough and it's coming up all nice and clean. My homie's right behind me and he got some stuff to spray. All together now. Let's maintain that turf today, that turf today, that turf today.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Turf Today, recorded on the Superintendent Network and brought to you by Toro. My name is Adam Kershane, joined by Brian Laurent, and everybody, we are heading down to Kentucky this week to chat with Andrew Lewandowski, Golf Course Superintendent at Cherry Blossom Country Club. This is a great one. Andrew has worked his way up to get to the superintendent role and offers a lot of advice for people moving the same way. This is a great one. Dig in, everybody. Hope you enjoy it. Let's patch in Mr. Laurent. So welcome back. It was a fun one having Frank on the show last week. We got a lot of feedback from that. People love him.
Frank did a fantastic job, talked about a lot of different topics that are extremely relevant today. Obviously, being an educator, loved some of his insight on, students these days, and then obviously just the evolution of the industry, or kind of, I guess, where things are going. Huge conversation on autonomous technology, and it was a great episode. Frank's a great personality for our industry and has certainly had quite an incredible impact on this profession, no question.
Yeah, and I love how opinionated he was too. He comes on and just speaks his mind, and this is how I feel about things, and this is how I've gone through things, and it was great.
That's why his podcast is called Frankly Speaking.
Frankly Speaking. Yeah, it's perfect for him. A lot of guys come on and they're representing their club or their association and things like that. So they're just trying to keep it high and tight and tell the odd story. But it's just, he's genuinely himself. So it's great when people can come on like that and, have a bit of an impact.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Memorial Week for you. It's going to be a little bit busy down there. Dublin, Ohio.
Yeah, I got a lot going on next week between the memorial. Got to take a visit down to Hyde Park in Cincinnati. Just recently wrapped up a big restoration or renovation with Tyler Ray. And then big Harold's outing on Thursday. And then got kids lacrosse.
Okay.
Travel lacrosse is upon us, man. High school season's wrapping up. And now we've got tournament season. So, yeah.
Oof.
Yep. College showcases, tournaments, training camps, college camps, all sorts of stuff, man. It's this summer's going to fly by. This spring's already flown by. It's hard to believe. Dude.
No kidding.
It's May 29th when we're recording right now. It's going to be, June is 3 days away or whatever.
Yeah. No, it is wild. This is our first summer where our kids aren't in school, so we have to find camps for them.
Yeah.
And that was one of those things as a young parent, you're just like, oh, really? Well, there goes $3,000.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. No.
So, trying to get them all signed up for different camps and figure out ways for them to spend the summer, keep them busy, and it's a little new challenge for us.
It's nuts, isn't it? Yeah, you think when you're done with that daycare bill, it's like, oh my gosh, I got a second mortgage. And then it's like, oh crap, summer care, camps, sports. Jeez.
Fortunately, we do have the golf course. So if there's the odd day or the odd week where we need to, keep them busy, we can always bring them to the course. So that is helpful. But it's new challenge for being a young parent.
Yeah, man.
Just like the challenge of trying to find a day to go golfing. It's impossible now. How about Sunday morning at 5:30 a.m.? That work?
Yeah.
Man.
Give it about 12 years when the kids are old enough they don't want to see you. Then it's like, all right, whatever.
Well, I want to get them to fall in love with the game so I can just go out there and play with them all the time. That's
it.
Nice. I don't know if it's going to happen, but It'd be nice. I did want to tell you a little story about playing on the golf course the other day. I haven't played a lot this year, but just one of the funniest probably lines or sequences, because guys, when they play, you have a lot of fun out there with the boys, right? You're always chirping each other and everything. So we're out on this par 5 and guy hits a ball right down the middle. I hit my ball right down the middle. So we're both in the fairway together. And so I'm like, is that you? So he walks over to the ball, he picks it up, he looks at it and he goes, it says middle of the green. And I'm gullible, right? So I'm like, oh, wait, is that yours? You've been playing that one? He just calmly puts it back down. And he goes, it has its airline ticket. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, this is what we're doing. He's 3-wood off the deck and he's going for the green. So I'm like, okay. Guy steps up and just stripes it 30 yards left of the green. Barely keeps it on the hole. Calmly walks over, steps on the turf, looks at me and goes, I guess it had a layover. I was fantastic. Like, we should just go put your ball in the green for how cool that was. So I was like, I'm definitely using that at some point because that was cool. So
that's outstanding. I love it. That's a good scramble line. Line.
It's great.
My own ball.
Yeah. It says middle of the green. I was like, oh, who would put that on their ball?
That is fantastic. I absolutely love it.
Before the first tee time, before the first mower starts, before the sun breaks over the horizon, there's work to be done. For generations, turf professionals have trusted Toro to help them deliver exceptional playing conditions. From precision mowing equipment and industry-leading irrigation systems to the latest innovations in autonomous technology, Toro continues to help golf courses operate more efficiently while achieving results golfers expect. When performance matters, reliability matters. When every detail counts, count on the partner that has been there every step of the way. Toro. Count on. The other thing I had written down for you was we've gotten a lot of, I think, newer listeners to the show recently. So there's people that have kind of picked up the show and they've bounced around for episodes. So a lot of people are still asking about Trevor, the old co-host Trevor. Zero bad blood there. Trevor got out of the industry and became a marketing manager for Powerbuilt. He also builds persimmon clubs at his home in California. So he's a very busy guy. He held on a little bit longer than he probably wanted to with the show, but him and I being so close, he was probably just doing it to be a good buddy. And, Brian came along at the perfect time when we asked him to join the show and kind of start working together. So Trevor was able to leave and Brian filled his spot, and the show is, off to, kind of a different path now. So, everything was fun with Trevor. He did a great job getting the show off the ground when we originally started. And some of those episodes are classics if you go back on them. But, the way things are now, it's Adam and Brian. And, we've been doing it for, I guess it's been over 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah. 2 years this August, I think, something like that. So,
Big
no bad blood with Trevor.
From Trevor. Big shoes to fill. I don't have the personality. That guy's awesome.
He is. He's a piece of work for sure. One of my best buddies. And so just for all the people asking, Trevor was great. You can go back to listen to a couple of the episodes. He's even guest hosted a few episodes throughout the last couple of years as well. So great guy, love him, and just don't tell him I said that.
I always forget. How did you guys connect in the first place?
He was just a big fan of Turf Today, sent me a lot of content, and he was just a friendly guy, and we just connected. We both were Eagles fans. He would make fun of me for being Canadian, and we just kind of really hit it off. One of those buddies that you just kind of instant buddies you can say anything to, and so that just sort of worked out. And I had an original co-host here in Ottawa, a guy who actually works for Toro now. And he pulled out last minute. Like, he bought the mic, he was all ready to go, and last minute he's just like, Adam, I can't do this. So I interviewed Trevor for the first episode of the show myself, and we were halfway through the recording, and he was kind of like, bro, why don't we just do this together and we can interview everybody else. And I was like, oh, thank God. I can't do this on my own. And he's like, oh, I got you. Let's just do this. So we interviewed his cousin and one of his buddies to kind of start the first couple episodes off, and then we just sort of went from there. And
That's awesome.
It was a lot of fun. Like there's a lot of fun episodes where they're funny and they just trail on of him just talking about whatever. But I think it was really helpful to kind of get the show off and running and give it a little bit of personality. And now that we're, really digging into where the industry is at and what people are doing and some of the major highlights and stuff, I think he's happy that he's not a part of it. So it's good. Works for everybody.
Yeah. Now I just brought the show down. It's
No,
nice,
not anymore.
nice
What are you
and dull
kidding me, dude?
with my monotone voice. Put people to sleep. I could be dangerous out operating machinery.
So that leads me into the other thing that people have been asking for is that, we don't really talk about ourselves very much. So people were wondering if we could give a little bit of an update on, where we got our start and how we got into the industry and just sort of what we're up to now.
Oh gosh. Go ahead. Lead the way, my friend.
Yeah, for me, I was I've told the story a few times, but just for people that are newer to the show and have asked, I was a hockey player that worked at the golf course in the summers, fell in love with the job and just the nature of everything. It was a lot different than what I was used to doing as a kid. So fell in love with it. And when I kind of finished playing hockey, I went back to school, became an assistant, and worked under a phenomenal superintendent and learned a lot, not just about the golf course, but about my life and, my future and my goals and everything. And when I first started working at the golf course, I didn't have a vehicle or a girlfriend or anything. And now, I look at my life and a lot of these things have happened because of the mentors I've had in turf and, a lot of the hard hours and hard long weeks that we've worked. So it's an industry that's changed my life, and I still work part-time as an assistant at a course near my house. But my main goal and what drives me right now is, supporting this industry and trying to show the world that this is something that's very important. And it's also a lot of fun. And, we need the best people possible working in it. So a little bit about me. I'm sure there's other things sprinkled in through the episodes that you can go back and listen to. But, I'm just somebody who enjoys the game of golf, loves working turf, and really wants to help expand what we're doing.
And you're doing a great job with it. So
I appreciate it, buddy.
No question. Well,
how about you?
I've been around this industry my entire life. Some of my earliest memories are of driving around the golf course with my father. My dad's a retired golf course superintendent. So literally grew up on a golf course and developed a deep appreciation for the profession. And I tell everybody, it's this industry has given me a life beyond anything I could have ever imagined. It's opened up so many doors and opportunities, and getting to know the people of this industry from a very young age. The people in this industry are the absolute best. And so I've dedicated the better part of my life and career to supporting the industry. Kind of got my feet wet in supporting the industry from the association management side. I ran the Ohio Turfgrass Foundation for about a decade, in addition to running multiple superintendent chapters here in the state of Ohio. And ultimately started using video to communicate to our association members, and got to a point where ended up kind of making video my thing and launched the Superintendent Network a couple of years ago. And now that kind of that's taken me all over the country and even internationally to go and tell stories about the people within this profession, the superintendents, assistants, EMs, you name it. Trying to put a spotlight, shine a light on the people that are usually unseen. And, again, that's kind of evolved into jumping on board with you 2 years ago. And now, in addition to Superintendent Network and Turf Today, also helping to run the Super Scratch Foundation, which is pretty much the largest provider of scholarships for future superintendents in the country. $150,000 last year in student scholarships allocated, and hoping to eclipse $200,000 this year. So yeah, that's me. Love the game of golf. I'm terrible at it these days, but still enjoy going out there and hitting it around, and just more so love the game because it's a great opportunity to spend 4 hours with friends, family, whoever it is that you're out there with.
Okay, so this is where we're at. We were going to interview Andrew on the Friday. Didn't work out. He was really sick. So wanted him at his best. So we interviewed him Monday. Brian's at the memorial. Couldn't fit it in. So here we are. Adam and Andrew. Enjoy, everybody. So Andrew, welcome to the show. Very excited to have you on today. I'm so sorry Brian's not here. He's down at the memorial. Why don't you just start us off and tell us about yourself and kind of how you got your start in turf?
Yeah. Once again, sorry about that last week. I was not feeling the greatest, but I'm Andrew, and I started in this industry in June 2027. Will be 10 years, and I started back at Oldham County Country Club in Buckner, Kentucky, and started a little weed eater, change cups, and rake bunkers, and wasn't allowed to touch any mowers for a long time, and made my way from there to assistant over there when the new super came in and got some schooling paid for by them. Let's see, then I took a break from the golf world for a little bit just to try something different, and went and sprayed yards for a little bit and hated that after 6 months and wanted to come back to the golf industry. Found my way at Hunting Creek out in Prospect and just did some. I was just a full time guy over there for a little bit, sprayed greens and everything, and from there on, I found one of my mentors, Dave Thomas. He was a big guy, big guy for me to stay in this industry and everything. And took on the assistant role with him at Polo Fields in Louisville and stayed with him for a while. Learned a lot from him. At Canewood out in Georgetown, Kentucky, they called me and said, "Hey, we would like to come out for you to see the golf course and interview for a super position." I said, "All right," and got out there, and we had a greens renovation that needed to be done, and I stuck around, did that, took the job, did it. Then some things happened. Went over, Cherry Blossom opened up, and I said, okay, took a better opportunity to come to Cherry Blossom, and here I am now, living a dream the entire way through.
Yeah, beautiful. What a story. And it's so cool to hear about, the different courses and the different experiences, and then obviously the mentors that help you along the way. So take me back to that first course. You said you became an assistant. So just tell me about kind of going through all that transition and sort of falling in love with it.
Also, I started at Oldham County. I played golf there for a long time. That was the home course for the golf team that I only did one tournament with. But yeah, my dad and I were golfing there one day, and I was looking for a job. And the funny part was I couldn't get into Lowe's, I couldn't get into Home Depot, Walmart. I stayed out of the food industry, and I told my dad, I said, "I don't understand why I can't get into these things." And he was like, "Well, why don't you get a job out here?" And I said, "Oh, I don't want to sit and be a cart kid or anything like that." And he said, "No, I'll do the maintenance." And I said, "Oh, okay." So we finished our round of golf and grabbed the application, turned it in the next day, and they called me a week later and said, "Come on out." And started there ever since. I started under Frankie out there, and then after a year, Jacob Blair took over as the superintendent and took a chance on me to be the assistant and pay for some schooling. I stayed with him for 5 years over there, and I love that golf course. I still do to this day. That'll be my first home forever. And
Yeah, that's the spot.
It was awesome.
So tell me about going through school. Was that something you were doing while you were working?
Yeah, I did that. I did the Ohio State certificate for golf course management online, and I was able to do that, at home after work. So I was able to work through it and everything, which was part of the reason I liked it. And my senior year of high school was COVID, and I really didn't want to go to school again. And Jacob convinced me, "No, come on, let's go at least get a certificate." I said, "Okay," and went and got a certificate since he said the club would pay for it. I said, "Awesome." And yeah, so I did that through work, and have early mornings and late nights. Sometimes I do schooling at on my lunch break. I would be listening to the school during hand watering during the summertime. It was an adventure, and I got an AIT here, and I'm encouraging him to go get a certificate at least. And I told him how beneficial it could be, and you can do it through work because I did it through work.
Yeah, it's an amazing option, and we're finding a lot of people kind of going that route because that way you can just keep working and you don't have to move somewhere and put up a bunch of money and give up working for a while until you get your internship. But the one thing we do hear a little bit about is that you don't get the networking doing it that way. Have you kept in touch with some people that you went to school with?
Honestly, no, because it wasn't like a full-on classroom type of thing. It was like a do at your own pace. It was already pre-recorded, everything like that.
Okay.
I can reach out to professors if I need to, but I haven't had a chance. I haven't had a need to, just because I've had mentors in the area, and people in the area I could reach out to that could be there to see it too. But I say that that was a tough part. I was by myself pretty much. It was like a classroom of just me.
So how important has it been for you to kind of build that network around you for support?
It's been very important. I made friends along the way. Like I said, my mentor, Dave Thomas, we call him the godfather of my youngest child because we're just that close. I try to keep up with him every couple of weeks or so. I know guys that I worked with at a young age, and, one's an irrigation tech or irrigation manager at, Cardinal Club in Simpsonville. Another one, he took the super job at Hunting Creek last year. We all kind of help each other out and everything. And like the super at Canewood now, and me and him stay in contact with each other because we're 10 minutes down the road from each other. It's, we're trying to keep that connection of, okay, if a workman breaks down or he needs a couple extra guys, we can, help each other out that way. And, I feel like that connection with everyone in the area, making that friendship and everything is a big, big role in this industry for us.
Yeah, 100%. So what about associations? Are you part of like a Kentucky Turfgrass Association or something like that?
Yeah, I'm part of the Kentuckiana Golf Course Superintendent Association. I've been part of that since 2017 when Jacob took over because he was on the board, on the Kentuckiana board. So he forced me to come and be a member and everything. And, that's how I also met a lot of the other guys, through a lot of the other younger assistants through it in the area. And I did through the GCSAA, I did the assistant certificate program through them. I don't know if that's really involved, but I did it through them, that's for sure.
Well, I'd love to hear you talk more about that. That is not something that we've really dug into too much here on the show. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so it's got 4 parts to it. You do one part at a time. There's agronomy, business. I think the other one is environmental stewardship, and then the last one is communications. I think it took me about 6 to 8 months to do it. It was a fun process. It's a fun, long process because you got to watch a lot of videos, and then quizzes after each video. You got to get certain scores and all that. The most boring ones, surprisingly, were the agronomy and business, just because it was just you're sitting there watching 15 videos at an hour and a half apiece, and that was the tough part about that. But when you got to the environmental and stewardship part and the communication part, it was fun. Like one of the things for the environmental stewardship was I had to, one of the options was I could write an article and get it published by the GCM online, or send it to my local chapter to get it published that way. And I ended up writing an article through there, and about why you need a turf plot. The GCM online published it, which was really cool. And then another thing on it was you could work with a mentor. That was an easy one to pick because to go along with that article I wrote, we built a turf plot, nursery, whatever you want to call it. We built one, and that's what I wrote it on. And so that was an easy way for me to do that stuff through it. And the communications part of it, I really don't remember which one I did on that one. It's been a little bit since I did it, but I don't think it wasn't anything hard. I know that. But I encourage a lot of people to do it. My assistant here, I'm encouraging him to do it, and I think he just has the environmental stewardship one left. And I'll encourage the AIT to do it too. And anyone who is an assistant, it's just good to have it because it's not going to hurt you in any way. That's for sure.
If you're serious about becoming a superintendent someday, the Assistant Superintendent Certificate Series from the GCSAA is one of the best investments you can make in your career. The program covers agronomy, business, environmental stewardship, and leadership, the skills today's golf course leaders need to succeed. It's self-paced, built specifically for the golf industry, and gives you a chance to stand out when that next opportunity comes along. Ready to level up? Head to the GCSAA website or check out the link in the podcast description.
It was one of those things I wanted to do for a while, and I was reading into it, and I did it while I was at Polo Fields with Dave, and I asked him, I said, what you think about it? And he said, absolutely, do it. Okay. And I did it during the winter time, like the early fall, all the way through the winter,
Smart.
so I had downtime to do it. But yeah, I want to say I started it in, I guess, late spring I started it, and then slowly did it throughout the summer, and then, because I finished it, I think in December of 2024, I think. But yeah, it was a good time. I liked it.
Yeah, definitely been good for you. So you're showing your age a little bit, saying that you graduated during COVID. So still a younger guy in the industry and now a superintendent. So take us through that transition of going from an assistant to a super, taking that job, going through the interview and everything. And did you feel like you were really ready for it at the time?
Was I probably ready for it? For the job I took at Canewood? Yes and no. It's a 50-50 on that, depending which day you ask me. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, Canewood, it was a full 18 greens renovation, and it was a renovation on a budget. And, they called me and said, hey, we got your resume. I still don't know to this day who gave them my resume or anything. And they reached out
Somebody
to
passed
me.
it on.
Yeah, somebody did, and they reached out to me and said, why don't you come out? Let's talk about this. And I came and saw, and they had, it was a rough summer last year for the Kentucky area, Kentuckiana area. Anyone here will tell you that. And we lost patches of greens and collars, but Canewood lost all 18 greens. So I think there was definitely some herbicide mixture in there in the middle of that heat, and it just smoked them based on
Oh, man.
the information they gave me. And so I ended up going there September, and I talked to Dave, and I was like, "What do you think?" And he goes, "Well, at least you got experience to build something like that." I said, "Yeah," and
Yeah.
uh, I was ready to go. I felt like I was ready to go, and Dave said he's by my side and he'll be here if I need help, and I think that gave me a real confidence booster to say yes, let's do it. And it was intimidating to be a superintendent at 24 years old, turning 24 and doing a full greens renovation. And I was expecting my youngest child at the same time too. So it was all
Oh, boy.
three
Oh,
things in
boy.
one big bundle. I enjoyed it. I think it was a really good learning experience for me. I don't regret it whatsoever. And was I ready? Like I said, depends on the day you ask me.
Yeah, yeah. I think most guys, when you ask that question, they can't answer that, right? I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I'm ever going to be ready. But it's one of those things. You take the job and you just start learning and you just start working through it, right? It's day by day and
Oh, yeah.
problem by problem. So that's great that you've got it on there. How are you feeling about things now? Have you changed a lot, or have you kind of just leaned on the staff to continue things the way they were?
I took most of the crew from Canewood over here, and I trust these guys a lot. I really do. And yes, we're all on the younger side, but we all want to make it better and want to succeed. So we all have the same passion for it, and I think we all kind of lean on each other. We're all baseball and hockey and lacrosse guys, so we're a big team guys. So I think that kind of
Mm-hmm.
what makes it easier for me and easier for everyone else out here on my crew. And when we all kind of merged together, found each other, and we kind of clicked. And when we started at Canewood, yeah, we made things flow, and we're just continuing that process here. And so that's helped out a lot, having that good connection with everybody.
Yeah, that's huge. Having that team aspect and people that can make fun of each other, but also pick each other up and recognize when things need to be, people need to be supported. So that is massive. Talk to us a little bit about Cherry Blossom. What do you guys have going on there? Any new plans?
Well, right now today the crew's off the course because we have a KGA event out here on the amateur number 3 series, I think it is. And um, I've done a few amateur events at a few of my old courses, but these younger guys I have out here, this is their first. This is their first golf course experience on something tournament style like that. And so that's something big for everybody out here. And then in this winter, I'm going to try to push this bunker renovation out here, and cause just not really renovation, but more for like the drainage. That's something I noticed with the past 2 weeks of pouring down rain we've had. Is our bunkers fill up like ponds, and I mentioned that to the GM and owner already. Like, I think we should put bunker drainage in this winter, and I think that's the direction we're going to go. Other than that, going to kind of ride the wave this first year, see where we get, and just go from there.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it, right? Not try and take on too much, just work season by season and pick away at things. So that's awesome. It sounds like you guys have a lot of fun together. Do you get to play golf or get out and do things outside of work together?
Just about every day for lunch, there's three of us that would go out, play. We'll go order our food real quick, go out, play a few holes, and then after work sometimes we like to, if we got some time, we'll go out, hit the sticks around, and have a good time like that. But other than that, we all live far from each other. Like, I live an hour away from the golf course.
Oh,
One of the
wow.
guys lives, he lives 5 minutes from here. Then another guy lives like 30 to 40 minutes away. So, outside of work, we're not really all together. But, when we're here together. And, everyone knows it's long days. So,
Yeah.
if we get the chance to hit the ball around, we will. And we like to golf. And these two or three guys I have, they are very passionate for golf too. So it's nice having them and to be able to play, and they understand it too.
The people that understand the game is so important. I think every crew needs a couple of those guys, especially when you're doing things like pin setup and just, moving things around for tournaments and stuff like that. You got to have the golfer's eye. And I find too, if you have staff members that play, the guys really get invested in the course, right? Because they want to see things better. Or, hey, Adam, I was playing number 5 the other day and this came up. And it's great that they can scout those things and really find the problems. So I've always encouraged guys to go out and play as much as they can.
Oh, absolutely. I encourage them every day, every time they can, or every chance they can get. I say go out and play. And our youngest guy, Mason, that dude, I don't know how his wife isn't killing him, because he golfs every single day. And we're like, dude, you take a break. You take a break. Nah, man, she's okay with it. She'll come out later too and golf. Okay.
Oh,
All right, whatever you say, man.
So they don't have kids yet then?
He does. He does. He just
Wow.
had his. And, but we're like, dude, like, what are you doing? He goes, oh no, they'll come out and join me later. It's okay. Okay.
Nice. Things will change. So you talked about you guys hosting some tournaments. I know you were down at the PGA Championship at Valhalla working for John Ballard and the crew. Talk to me a little bit about that. Must have been some great experience.
Yeah, that was a fun time. I only got to do it one day though. Had some stuff come up, but got to go around, and I had a backpack blower. That's all I was doing. But that was my first tournament I really did, so I was nervous. So backpack blowing was perfect for me. That was fine with me. And so yeah, Valhalla, like I said, I only did it for one day and was backpack blowing. But that was just to see everything go on there at that level was educational and fascinating to see to me, because I've never seen it at that high of a level before, and it encouraged me to stay in this industry. It's like, yeah, that's what I want to do. That's right. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's great to get that motivation when you go and see all, the highest level of our industry kind of working. Was there anything there that blew you away that you were like, oh my gosh, I didn't know we did this?
I really wouldn't say that. I'd say, like, I guess, like, seeing how precise you got to be on, like, the moisture management side of it. Drying the greens down at just slow of a rate, and seeing the moisture affecting the green speed really came into perspective for me when I talked to a few guys about it. I'd say that's like the biggest thing that I've seen on that end of it. And but everything else, I was like, it makes sense that we do all that and everything else, and put it in perspective pretty much.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to see like 100 people go out on a golf course to work, because you get like a lot of guys with rakes and backpack blowers, but just being there and the camaraderie and seeing it at the highest level, I think is really important. So is that something you might do again, or go after another tournament or something like that?
Oh yeah, I did the ISCO Championship at Hurstbourne last year.
Okay.
Didn't do much on that one either. I was late my first day, and I got kicked out of mowing fairways on that one. So I was like, damn. So, but I worked that afternoon, and I got to fill ball marks on greens and everything. Talked to a few guys with that, and then in the morning, I got to be on a fairway blower behind what I was supposed to do behind the fairway units.
Yeah, following your unit.
following the guys I was supposed to be with, and so I mean that was fun. I'm gonna do the ISCO again this year, and I taking my
Nice.
2 guys with me to do it. I did sign up for the John Deere Classic, and
Okay.
hopefully I get to go to that. We'll see how that one plays out. So, and that one I'd really like to go to that one. Yeah.
That would definitely be a fun one for you. I was going to ask you next about spraying. It's not something we've talked to a lot of people about, especially a younger superintendent. And I have some horror stories for myself about learning how to spray. I had a superintendent that just kind of threw me into the fire, and I ended up being really positive, and I ended up being a good sprayer. But just love to hear about your experience and learning how to spray.
Oh, spraying. That was something when I figured out you can spray with a big tank like that. Like, the first spray I learned on was a John Deere 2020A with the 300-gallon spray on the back of it. Very intimidating, very, very intimidating. But when I hopped on it, I was like, God, this feels right. It was something really, really, I loved it. And wasn't allowed to touch greens for the longest time. Wasn't allowed
No
to.
way.
Sprayed every time we had fairway spray, I was out there. Fairway tees, I was out there, and I was enjoying it. And then, so I didn't spray greens maybe but one time in the first 2 years I had my spray license. And then, when I go see Dave at Polo Fields, he's like, "All right, well, you can go spray greens." And I'm like, I don't know. I haven't sprayed greens. You want me to spray fairways and tees? I'll be fine. No, just go do it. And he goes, I'll make sure you're fine. I was like, okay. And, that was intimidating. And but I was confident in myself. I said, okay, let's just do it. And then spraying wise, geez, when I worked for the spraying company, I was training my buddy how to spray, and we had the ride-on Turfco sprayers, and he's putting them back on the trailer, and he bumped the wand or something and sprayed him straight across the face with.
Oh,
I
no.
forgot the herbicide that was in it. And I was like, holy crap, no. And he freaked out. And luckily in the back of the work truck, I carried a big, 10-gallon jug of just clean water for when I needed to wash my hands to eat lunch. And I just started pouring it on my face and rubbing it off and everything. Luckily, nothing happened. I felt little stains later in that evening, and you could definitely tell some blemishes on the face. But yeah, that one was a freak out moment. The owner of Polo Fields had a big turf nursery of Bermuda, zoysia, bentgrass, or not bentgrass, but Bermuda and zoysia, like a mile away, and I'd have to take our big sprayer, a mile down the road, just going 10, 15 miles an hour down the road, and people are whizzing past me. I'm trying not to hit mailboxes, and that was interesting. And then get all the way down there and forget to check the gas tank. And
Oh, no.
I'm alone I was doing it on the weekend, and I'm alone. I'm thinking, holy crap! Like now I got to walk back this mile. Luckily, the director of agronomy guy, he was there, and I was like, hey, Mark, can you bring me a gas tank, man? I ran out as soon as I got here. And he was like, yeah, I'll bring you one down. And 30 minutes later, he comes down and he just starts laughing at me. Yeah, now I know I'm always checking that spray tank on the gas. I learned a harsh lesson when I sprayed fairways one day, and I sprayed out in the rough with some leftover, and I smoked the rough like 2 days later. And
Oh.
I forgot what I was spraying, but it was hot, and I smoked probably about a good green size of rough between the tee box and the fairway. And my super just looked at me and just was like, well, now you can't spray that in the rough now, can't you? I said, no, no. So I had to, that's my little side project of getting that reseeded, fertilized, grown back in. And luckily it grew back in pretty quickly.
And that's kind of the beauty of some of the mistakes on the golf course is that it is easily fixable. It might take some time, but it's great for learning, and then it allows you to take on another project where you're learning something else. So there's always positives to it as long as nobody gets hurt or we don't, waste a $10,000 spray app or something like that.
Yeah. I push the importance of spraying to my AIT and my assistant. I push it both on them, and because it was pounding in my head, hey, this is important. This is one of the most important things we're going to do out here.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure we do it right. They're intimidated, just like I was when I first started doing it, and I feel pretty confident after doing it for a few years, and I think the chemical rates was the biggest learning curve. So I was always, even now, I still triple check it just to make sure.
It's something that it's kind of daunting, but like you said, once you kind of get it down, it can be a lot of fun. You can do a lot of good for the property. And just wondering if you had any advice for some younger assistants or people that are going to be taking that on in the next couple of years, just, starting to spray.
I'll say what I tell my AIT right now. Yeah, it's a scary thing to do when you're learning it and first starting with it. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's people will agree with me when I say this, and they'll disagree. But it's just grass. We can make it grow back. Be confident with it. Always double check the math, triple check it, and I think the confidence is key, just like in anything else. Just be confident with it.
Yeah, that's very important. And it's one of those jobs where things can go wrong. There's a lot of moving parts, so you really have to be dialed in when you're doing that job. You can get on a triplex or on a roller or something like that and kind of daydream every once in a while you're going hole to hole. But when you're on the sprayer or you're on the chainsaw or you're in a big piece of equipment or something like that, you really got to be paying attention. So if you're somebody that's taking on spraying, it's an important job and you gotta work at it.
Absolutely.
We are back with another Ask the Agronomist segment featuring Dr. Tony Goldsby from the Andersons. Our question today comes in from an anonymous viewer. How do you evaluate and adjust your fertility program throughout the season based on clipping yield and plant response rather than a fixed schedule? Wow.
Yeah, thanks again for having me on the show this week, Adam. And again, another wonderful end user submitted question this week. So, I think honestly, the answer was kind of in the question in itself, and I don't know if that was by design, but
I'm not sure
I
either.
would say overall, the industry from where I sit is definitely moving more towards managing plant performance, right, with things like clipping yield rather than just, hey, we're going to follow a calendar and we're going to put out fertility, this date, regardless of whether the turf needs it or not. So, absolutely, clipping yield is one of the best tools we have because it gives you real-time feedback on what's going on growth response and then how, that nitrogen's being used in the plant, and how efficiently it's essentially getting into the plant. And, really, how do you do it? You just use that volume. And as it starts, increasing, and if it's faster than you're desiring, right, you're going to scale that back, or the vice. If you're not seeing as much clipping retain as you would want to, you can obviously use that as a place to make sure that you're, improving your fertility or increasing your fertility before it starts to show up as, really poor surface quality or playability, right? So that clipping yield can really be the front edge of kind of your decision, whether you need to go up or down, if you will. And then, you kind of go from where you need to do and what nutrition you need to go from that point, right? And again, we use plant and soil tests as well, too, to kind of help give you another, just data point to ensure that you're on the right path. And probably one step further, if you're looking to like where are guys going and kind of next level. Obviously, I did a lot with remote sensing in graduate school, and a lot of folks are using, parameters like NDVI. Along with clipping yield, right? So not only are you looking at how much clipping yield you're getting, but you're also looking at like how dense and how chlorophyll rich is that clipping yield. And together that's going to help you, right, even make better decisions on, really dialing in that fertility and making sure that it's, adjusted for the seasonal rates and the playability that you want, and not necessarily just a calendar and a rate that you've used historically type of decision. So I definitely think the industry's moving that direction. And, if you're not, start small. Clipping yield's pretty easy to start with, right? Just measuring it and, kind of starting to put it to your turf. And then, like I said, you can even take it up another level and integrate some other, parameters like NDVI or other things like leaf area index to take that to another notch. But yeah, that's definitely the way to go. And if you have any questions or need more help, then you know where to come.
That's awesome. Great response. I think that's it's important to know in our industry that there's no set schedules when it comes to, dealing with Mother Nature and everything we have on the golf course. So that's awesome, Tony. We will see you next week. This wraps up another Ask the Agronomist segment featuring Dr. Tony Goldsby from the Andersons. So let's move over to, you had a couple fun stories for us here. One was the big slide down the icy hill, and then the tarp that wouldn't stay pinned down.
Oh yeah. So I guess we'll start with the tarp one first, because that was my second year at a golf course, and it was around the same time we were meeting the new superintendent Jacob out there, and he told me and the two other high school kids or one other high school kid, okay, hey guys, go pin that tarp down. It's getting pretty windy out here. I don't want it to fly away. All right, so we cement one side, get cement blocks, throw it down one side, and the wind starts kicking up. We're like, oh god! So we're running around trying to pick it up, and the next thing I know, my buddy lets go, and at the time I was weighing maybe 100 pounds, maybe a little bit less, and I'm
No.
a small guy. I'm like 5'8", 5'8", 100 pounds, and uh, all of a sudden I realize I'm 10 feet in the air, and I hear my boss, I hear Jacob from the shop yelling, Andy, let it go. And I just let go and fall 10 feet down, thinking, holy crap, I need to gain some weight. And that was a scary moment for me, and thinking, holy cow. And then, the icy hill, geez. David and I were, Polo Fields is real hilly. It's got hills all over the place. 18 fairways, just a straight hill from the pond straight down. And then same thing with number one. But Dave and I were going out doing a course check, looking at the ice thickness and everything. And we went to the pond, and for some reason, we thought, okay, we'll just walk down the hill a little bit, see what's going on right there. And because that's usually where it stayed frozen the most. And like, okay. And we go out there, and next thing I know, I'm starting to act like I'm on ice skates, learning how to skate for the first time again. And I hit the ground hard. I just slide all the way, maybe 50, 60 yards down the fairway. And I just hear Dave laughing his butt off back there. And all I can do is laugh. And I get back up to the cart, and the pro shop's pretty close. And I hear the head pro start yelling at me, just laughing. And that was just something. All I could do was just laugh. That's all I could do. And then we did a sod project on number one fairway at Polo Fields, and one of Dave's favorite times to sod is when it's raining outside.
Classic.
And it's a straight hillside all the way down, and we're on this hillside, and we're throwing sod down. I move out of the way for one of the guys, and I hit just straight mud. I walk on the mud, straight mud, and just fall right to my butt. Slid another 20 yards down the hillside, just covered in mud. And I'm just like, luckily at the time I lived 15 minutes from there. I was like, well, I'm going home. I'll be back. Changed, took a shower. I came right back to it. Ended up falling again, hitting my knee down.
Yeah.
I'm not sliding down again. It's not happening. That was fun. Everybody was just laughing, and they just they were like, I'm a baby deer pretty much anytime I'm on a hillside. But
Yeah, sodding can be tough. It's a big project, especially if you're doing multiple holes or multiple areas. And so you got to find a way to have fun with it, right? There's got to be some team aspect to it, and just make it fun, because it can be a grind. I remember doing a renovation one time, and we worked long hours in the sun, and sod trucks just kept showing up, and I kept thinking, man, like we're going to come to work tomorrow, and these kids aren't going to be here. Like, they're just going to be done. But just kept finding ways to keep them excited, keep them happy, keep them laughing, keep them fed. And, you're able to get through it. So it's a big team thing, but it can be a lot of fun too.
Absolutely.
I wanted to ask you just about being younger in this industry. Where do you see this industry going? If you're somebody that's going to be working as a golf course superintendent for a long time to come, what are you excited about with the future of golf course maintenance?
I think just continue meeting new people. And, like you said, I'm a young guy. I like seeing younger guys come into it too. That's why, like, I have a much younger crew. Like, the youngest guy got on here, he's 18 years old, and I encourage that heavily. And I just want to see people grow. I want to see more younger people come in and figure out this industry, learn it, love it, and just continue on going. And I hope to be a big part of that. And that's why I kind of bring the younger guys in. And one, it helps me. They call me the old man, which is I'm not that much older than them, but just having the younger guys starting it, I think, is what's going to lead us a long way into it. And then, for me in the future wise of this, I can't wait to see where I go. I really want to end up at, I think what everybody wants to do, host a US Open, host some qualifiers, stuff like that. And, eventually I want to take it I want to work for the USGA, all that, and, continue putting forth effort and, bringing younger people into it so they just understand and, see how fun this industry really can be.
Yeah, 100%. And you have a huge runway. And when you have goals like that as a younger person, it gives you something to work towards as opposed to just saying, well, I'll just work and see how it goes. Like it's really nice to start pinning things down and saying, I want that. I want to go after that. And
Yeah.
developing people underneath you is also so important to this industry. So one thing I wanted to highlight today was, you had a article written about a turf plot or a practice nursery green. I would love to you just expand a little bit more about that and talk about, maybe the importance of having one of those at every course.
Yeah, so I did that at Polo Fields with Dave, and they didn't have a nursery or a turf plot or anything, and we were taking it from our chipping green and practice green, and
That sucks.
that sucks. Yeah, exactly, it
Hmm.
sucks. And but we had a big open space down. Oh, was it 10, 11, 12? On 14, we had a bathroom on 14. Right behind it, we had half a football field of area, and it was all wooded. And David talked to the owner and was like, "Hey, let's build a nursery. Let's build one." And it was all, and he got it all priced out, and we built a 4,000 square foot nursery, split it in two at 2,000 each, and one at Green's height, one at Collar's height. I think we used tea to green bent grass. Can't remember which variety it was, but we did 4,000 square feet of that. It was, we brought in the dozer to clear out everything. I sprayed weed killer all over it, and then we brought in the USGA sand. That was cool seeing all the truckloads come through with that. Um, and we built irrigation into it. That's something I never thought I would do either. Was build a full irrigation system basically. Did that, and then then seeded, fertilized, and started fertilizing every few weeks. And by November, we did that late August, early September. By early November, we were having some really good growth, and by that fall and spring, we were pulling plugs out of it probably by February. And
Nice.
that was a big accomplishment. And like I said, we did that. I did my article on that one too, and I think it's really important for us to have I think every golf course, should have a nursery or a turf plot that they can take from instead of your chipping or practice areas, and just for several reasons. You can have LDS somewhere that just ain't going away. Okay, let's just replace it. Fuel leak or a hydraulic leak on a green or a tee or something. Okay, you got the nursery. Let's replace it. But doesn't got to be 10,000 square feet. Doesn't have to be a whole 4,000 square feet either. Just something, whether it's 2,000 or something. But yeah, it's going to play an important role, especially when if you host bigger events for the area or something, and okay, that spot's got to get out of there. Let's just get rid of it now and go to the nursery real quick. Put it right. Take a plug it up, or scalping. Mower scalped real bad all of a sudden. Things happen that we can't control, and if you have that backup plan or like something to push it along faster, like sod, where you just pull plugs or cut a piece of sod out real quick, that's going to answer a lot of that can make or break somebody right there in this industry. I feel like too, it's kind of a protect your ass saver on that. And here at Cherry Blossom, I'm going to push for a nursery too. I mean, we got 6,000 square feet right next to our shop of just yard pretty much, and we have water source right to it. Just do the same thing I did at Polo Fields. Build 4,000 square feet one, put the irrigation in, call it a day, and grow it right up. And because like I said, we're taking from our smallest practice green, and it's just getting smaller and smaller each time we take from it.
Hmm.
Which I hate doing, especially when we host the KGA events and stuff, and have some bigger outings and everything. And people want to go on the practice greens. And it's
Yeah.
kind of hard to practice on a practice green when you got chunks of, you have plugs taken out of it that are filled with sand, and you're not getting the same rolls and everything. But yeah, I think nursery turf plot will play big roles in make everyone's life easier, play a big role in the industry. I know the higher end clubs do it, but even lower end clubs, just make a small one if anything, just to protect your ass a little bit is all.
No, I think there's a lot of good there, and the biggest piece of learning I did working on the golf course was a renovation. We did an 18-hole massive renovation in play, so we never shut any holes down. It was wild, and it was very well orchestrated by our designers and our superintendent and everything. But now thinking about doing a project like you're maybe going to take on at your course, that's amazing for everybody, because now you can teach guys about building a green and what goes into a green and how to build irrigation and why we're using these heads and how far they're going to throw. And now you have an established green, like you said, you can take from. Now you can also go out and test your reels, and that you're not on the golf course. You can test a spray or a product, or there's a lot of different things you can do by just having that green there, and it's sort of a safety net because it's not on the golf course, right? So I would really encourage more people to start building that kind of stuff, both for education and then to be able to help you with your equipment and different things that you have going on.
Yeah, exactly. Because I don't think I would have been ready to take on Canewood's greens renovation if I didn't know the
Right.
process. I didn't experience that process of building a green, and like you said, it's very educational. Doing that as a younger guy, not a lot of people do that, and
Right.
that's, I'm very confident that I can do that, and
Mm-hmm.
because I've done it, seen it, experienced it, and it makes me feel better knowing, if something does happen again, we can I can pull it off. 'Cause, I
Yeah.
did it.
Yeah.
I pretty much did it at Canewood, on 18 greens. That was tough. But doing that nursery experience to build that gave me the confidence to take on Canewood and do a renovation over there. And we didn't go in depth at Canewood of pulling the irrigation out and everything. No, we did with the irrigation and everything there. But we took good layer of good chunk of sod out of there and sodded a lot of spots and you know filled in, took out bad soil and bad top soil, everything, and threw it down with USGA sand and seeded it right up. And you know yeah, we did shut down. We were on temporary greens, which no one wants to hear that. I didn't like hearing that either, but it was something we had to do. But I was confident with, okay, we're gonna, we start this September 1. We'll be back to playing on greens by, I think they got back on April, mid-April,
Okay.
and I was like, okay, let's go. And yeah, the greens were hot, they were tall because I wanted, I did a little bit differently than we did with the nursery. I raised the heights up so that we can just easily lower them down. I wanted to get as much growth as possible, and so they were a little furry to start off with when we opened them up, but they went down and down and down, and when I left Canewood, they were at a great spot. Probably about all 18 greens were at 95% coverage,
Nice.
and so I was confident leaving that place with the greens that were given there, just because of the experience with the nursery, because I know how long it should have taken to do it and what to look for as I was doing it, how much to push them. I think pushing them with the fertilizer and chemical was a big factor in learning that with the nursery too. Was okay. I knew how much fertilizer I'm gonna need and which fertilizer worked the best to push them a little bit more.
Finding great leaders in golf isn't getting any easier. But what if you could build them yourself? The Bloom Golf Partners Apprenticeship Program is a fully structured 2-year training program designed to develop the next generation of golf course leaders right inside your operation. From turf management to irrigation to leadership and team culture, apprentices gain real-world experience while you build a stronger, more reliable team. Plus, with built-in recruitment support and access to funding opportunities, it's a smarter, more sustainable way to grow your staff. If you're ready to stop searching and start developing talent, check out Bloom Golf Partners and their Golf Course Management Apprenticeship Program today.
Yeah, and I carry that building that nursery a long way. Even at my home, it's kind of funny. Like I grow little turf plot grasses. I have a grow light or two, and I'll throw some bent grass seed on, and just grow my little plot like that. Just because I thought it was fun doing the nursery, I was like, I'm just gonna do little plots at home. And I got Lily in the planting stuff. She's growing her own flowers and everything like that too. So it's it taken me more. Building that nursery took it more than just a golf course too, and kind of got my family involved because I have 3 kids under the age of 4, and they're seeing what it takes to grow. Yeah, we're just growing a couple flowers at home and a little 6-inch by 6-inch pot of bent grass, but they're seeing the process of all that too. I love to get my 3 boys in this industry. And, so growing grass and growing plants is how I'm trying to introduce them to that too. And, once again, that inspiration came from the nursery I built.
It's incredible. It's incredible. I love it. I think there's so much that can be learned and jump started by just taking on a little project like that. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, brother, this has been great. I can't thank you enough for your time. We usually leave the last little portion of the show for our guest. If there's anything you wanted to talk about or plug today, the floor is yours.
No, I think, reiterate on spraying, just be confident with it. That's I know it's very intimidating. I'm still intimidated, especially on a new course doing it, because you got to learn the course as well while spraying, so you don't tip the sprayer over going down a slope or something. And, like just be confident for all the younger guys out there learning to spray. And, I'm a young superintendent, I can do it. Everyone can do it. It's not hard, Yes, it's hard, but once you learn it, it's not hard. And then, the nursery, the turf plot, those are important. Oh, that's very important. I think that's a key factor of having a good, successful career, is having that at your capabilities. And, like we talked about, the education wise for your crew to see it, especially if you can do it right next to your shop and everything. That's a big factor that can push everybody, encourage people to stay in the industry and all that sort of stuff.
Did you want to tell people how they can find you online to connect?
My Instagram, I think it's LEWY, so it's Louis, then Lewandowski, my last name. That's on Instagram. I don't know what my Twitter is off the top of my head, but if someone's on LinkedIn, if you just search up my name, you'll find it. I'm on there. I'm on there quite often. I scroll through it, look for other stuff on there. So I say probably LinkedIn's probably the best way to just look me up. Just look up Andrew Lewandowski, and I'll answer questions all day. I'll talk to people. I'm not afraid to learn about someone, talk to people, everything.
That's awesome, man. Well, hopefully you get some people reaching out, because there's a lot of younger superintendents working their way up these days, or assistants and things like that. So there's a big network of people out there for you. All right, brother. Well, thank you so much for the time. This will be out tomorrow morning, so we're looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thank you, man.
That is going to do it for us here on Turf Today. Thank you so much for joining us again this week. We had a ton of fun with Andrew Lewandowski out of Kentucky. Next week, we are going to somebody, I'm not even going to mention it. It's a surprise. This is going to be a lot of fun. Thank you so much to all of our sponsors and everybody that works on the show. We have a ton of fun doing it. And oh boy, are we ready for what's coming next this summer. We've got quite the lineup looking at everybody, some of the places we are going, and some of the people we are going to get to meet. This is so cool. I'm jacked up. I hope everybody's so excited about all the things they have going on at their course this year. Whether you're hosting tournaments or events or maybe a renovation, something special. There's got to be something that you're working towards and having goals and having fun. There's always something out there. So everybody, keep those reels sharp. We will see you next week. I can't wait.
Yo, listen, oi. Run that again, I'm shelling them. Flow galactic, cool man Bellingham. Man, I got love in Krakow and Birmingham. The gal love me, but I keep hurting them. I'm a twat. got the chat. Bit of this and bit of that. I'll run up in your yard with the Polish lads. By the time we're done, it won't be your flat, like flat tire, jet, flyer. Man marking a tart in a raid Maguire. Hardest skis in the game, Dan Dyer. Got loads of heat like a shit hairdryer. And again, I'm a big game player. Fly your sister out to Marbella. Treat her nice to a Wampayella and a Chardonnay and a pack of Stella. We make it bang like shotgun. Bottles on tap, let me pop one. We make it bang like shotgun. And if you want lyrics, I got some. We make it bang like shotgun. Bottles on tap, let me pop one. We make it bang like shotgun. And if you want lyrics, I got some. We make it bang like shotgun. Best dressed in a rave like got one. Nah, I ain't got a wife, but I want one. Pink sweets and a dance might pop one. Aye, this one loud is kicking. That one's fine like parking tickets. Chatter up like what's your digits? Off the goose, forgot my lyrics. Getting silly at the function. 2 pints of beer and my brain can't function. Drive fast, don't stop at the junction. It's P, I don't need introduction. Yo, they already know what I'm on. Won't slow down, but I just carry on. I make tunes for the gal and tunes for the dons. We make it pop off every single time that we're on. We make it bang like shotgun. Bottles on tap, let me pop one. We make it bang like shotgun. And if you want lyrics, I got some. We make it bang like shotgun. Bottles on tap, let me pop one. We make it bang like shotgun. And if you want lyrics, I got some. We make it bang like shotgun. Bottles on tap, let me pop one. We make it bang like shotgun. And if you want lyrics, I got some. We make it bang like shotgun. Bottles on tap, let me pop one. We make it bang like shotgun. And if you want lyrics, I got some.